Shalom from Jerusalem. This is TV7's Editor's Note. I'm Jonathan Hassan, and in today's edition, we will try and unpack a lot of issues. To start with the Islamic Republic of Iran, the situation in the Gaza Strip, implications for Lebanon, and potentially also on Syria if we have some time left for that, since we are limited to a half-hour show today. With me here is TV7's editor-at-large. He is also formerly a commander of the Israeli air and missile defense and many more positions over the years. Former, sorry. And Brigadier General Doron Gavish, who hasn't known by now. Of course, you've been with us for quite some time now. And General, it's always a pleasure.
It's my pleasure, Jonathan. Many to be here with you in this studio in
Indeed.
Jerusalem.
Absolutely. Let's start with Iran, since we haven't focused on the Iranians for quite some time. Naturally, since the 12-day war, or Operation Rising Lion, as it's called here in Israel, the Islamic Republic of Iran has really sustained a devastating hit to its critical military infrastructure, its nuclear program, and other aspects. The United States, under President Trump, has also ratcheted up its economic pressure and diplomatic pressure on the Ayatollah regime. And we are seeing signs of officers going to the streets, suddenly waving the flag of the Shah, which was, of course, the king of Iran prior to the Islamic Revolution of 1979. But nonetheless, they are not subdued totally. They are still with clear intent on eradicating the state of Israel, and they are operating against the United States in every shape and form possible within the scope of the tools at their disposal. What are we to take out of this wounded beast, if I may call it in such a fashion?
Yeah. But allow me, Jonathan, maybe before I start, because I'm here with you in Jerusalem, just to say that again and again, it is a big joy, I would say, to come here, to be part of TV7. And, along this year, I had I would say I had some chance to meet some of our viewers. I've been to Norway and to Sweden and lately in Denmark and in between in the United States, talking with people, and every other place that I was, people were approaching me. And what I was hearing from everyone is that they see how the way that you mainly are interviewing is that the people that you are hosting here in the studio is that you allow them, and TV7 allows them, to go in depth in any issue. It is not a TV like all other places that we see kind of a snapshot. Myself, that I'm sometimes in some other channels, you hear the editor after 2 minutes saying it's enough, let's go to the other subject. So here we really have a chance to go in depth into the issues, and I want to appreciate it, because you are behind all of this, and it is a pleasure being
all glory to God, and I deeply appreciate that. And indeed, we do everything in our power to facilitate true discourse on the key issues that Israel faces, that Western civilization faces at large, Europe, the United States, Canada, also our Pacific brothers, New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, elsewhere, and of course in Africa, countries that are faced also with tough regimes to deal with, going from South Africa to Nigeria to elsewhere. So naturally, we want to ensure that everybody truly understands what is happening here. And I appreciate you and so many people who have taken out of their time to really explain what's happening. So it goes both ways.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to Iran, I mean, on your last sentence, I think you touched the point, by the way, that a wounded beast, as we all know, is a dangerous one. The real challenge with Iran is that we have to remember that in Iran there is a deep, I would say, ideology that it is still there. It is not that the Iranians went to some other place. It is not that the from the ideological point of view, they decided to change ideology or strategies and so on. The reason that Iran was hit and striked because Iran attacked first without any provocation coming from Israel. April 24, October 24. And after it, we had to react. And unfortunately enough, the United States was part of it. Since we all understand, and this is, I think, the main issue coming from the last war with regards to Iran, but not only Iran for sure, is that Israel cannot allow our enemies to possess weapons of mass destruction. We can't just allow it. And we can't allow it because there is a deep understanding in Israel, mainly because of the 7th of October, that Iran and their proxies, they really mean. When they are saying that they want to annihilate Israel, they mean it. And we have to take it seriously. You know, we in the West, when someone is saying, I'm going to do this and that, and it sounds, you know, too bad, I would say, or too devastating in our mind as a Western, it's hard to believe. But again and again in history, we know that there were those that were threatening, and we found it that they are doing what they plan to do, and they were saying it because this is what they're planning to do. So this is how we should look at Iran, and I think this is from now and into the future. And you're right that there are warning signs coming from Iran, because we see, and there are reports worldwide, not only in Israeli ones, that they are constructing their capabilities basically in all areas. They are still struggling with their nuclear program, because it was really struck very hard. But they are doing everything in order to see how can they come back to what they were planning. So I hope that in some point the Iranians would understand that they are going on the wrong path. I hope that the snapbacks would be part of it, of their understanding. I hope that the idea that at the end of the day, Hezbollah is weak, Hamas is weak. So I hope that they understand that the grand strategy was a failure, and for them, it is really for their interest. And you're also right that we are hearing all kinds of voices coming out of the people in Iran. And, you know, I strongly believe that we cannot do it for them. Although we would all like to help the Iranian people. And, you know, here in Israel, there are so many Jewish people in Israel that have close relations with the Iranians, with the Iranian people. If you go in Israel, you would find a lot of Iranian food. There is no issue between the nations, between the people. It is really this regime, rogue regime, that there is there. So I really hope for the Iranian people that they would be in a position that they could, change their reality and to be in a much better place. I'm sure that they would get a huge hug from everyone, including from Israel.
Not from everyone.
You're right.
From Israel, from the West,
from the
United
West.
States.
I meant
Absolutely.
from the West. Not for.
I think, when we're talking specifically about the Ayatollah regime, it doesn't seem that they really get the memo, so to speak. For Israel, it's always the Latin phrase goes, si vis pacem para bellum, which means if you want to avoid war, prepare for one. But at the same time, when war kicks you in the face, you better respond. Mm-hmm. And this context, we saw, you spoke about the April attack initially, following the elimination of some senior Hezbollah terror operatives, which resulted in the attack in April. Israel responded by launching a specific type of munition. We won't go into what type of munition it is, but nonetheless, the signal there was that the Iranians don't have the capabilities to protect themselves. And it destroyed a major type of a detection system and the most advanced in Iranian capabilities. They didn't understand it back then. Then was the elimination of Hamas's leader on Iranian soil, and the Iranians supposedly responded since they attacked first, by launching a barrage of ballistic missiles in Israel's direction.
200.
200. Now, praise God, your colleagues at the Air and Missile Defense managed to intercept the vast majority of which, no casualties except for one, who happened to be a Gazan migrant into the city of Jericho at the time. Poor guy. Really, I saw the video. I mean, it's one in I don't know how many billion for something like that to happen. But at the same time, you see that Israel's response to that was devastating all of its surface and air capabilities in a devastating response, indicating once again, if you don't stop, it's not only that we destroyed your surface to air capabilities, your most advanced systems, and let us not forget that the Russians have also delivered some of its most advanced electronic warfare, which it's integrated into Iran at the time, and many other systems. And Israel showed once again qualitative superiority in every sense, the majority of which are American-made, right, or joint manufactured and upgraded by Israel. And again, they didn't get the memo. And then once they went and they continued into the effort to break out to nuclear weapon capabilities, that was one factor. The other factor, of course, were roughly 80,000 components of dual use sent by the Chinese to both the Iranians and the Yemenis in order to manufacture oversaturation capabilities of ballistic missiles. And Israel devastated them within the first 24 to 72 hours, gaining full aerial supremacy on Iranian skies, something that I told it to a friend, a general from the U.S. Air Force. This is amazing. I mean, have you ever seen something? He said, no, it's historic. This has never been done before. And I think everybody was surprised, including here in Israel, to the degree of success with regard to how Iran was devastated in the first 24 to 72 hours, let's put it that way, which altered the discourse of history. And Israel did not use even, I don't want to sound too
we didn't
too
use all
promotional.
our tools, let's put it this way.
We didn't use all the tools at Israel's disposal, not even close to half. That is to be in a position where the Iranians should think twice. And that's, from a rational mindset. Yeah. But it doesn't seem that way.
I fully agree, Jonathan. And of course, you may add to it the U.S. attack.
Right. Midnight Hammer.
Which was another historical event. And the question is...
But that was more of a signal to the Russians and Chinese.
But also to the Iranians, that the United States is willing to strike in Iran and against the weapons of mass destruction. And it was very effective. And it was only one strike. Once they came, they did what and they went back. It is, once again, just a glance of the capabilities that the United States have. You've talked about ammunition, but we could talk also about the areas that were struck. We went only towards military installations, their capabilities, UAVs, missiles, industries, and so on. By the way, they didn't behave like this. In the last war, they shot directly into our cities, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, because they were looking after our citizens. They behaved like a terror organization. And so I really hope that, after where we are, the geopolitical situation, what is happening in the Gaza Strip, what is happening, and hopefully what happen with Saudi, with Syria. I think that this is probably a point that they should analyze their strategy again and again and ask themselves where they want to go. I really hope for all of us that they would take the right path. But Israel, like always, and you said it before, we are seeking for peace, but we are preparing for all the options.
What is the
And,
right path for a murderous regime such as the Ayatollahs in Tehran?
It's that they are saying that they are abandoning their ideas to destroy Israel. It means that they are saying that
But
they
that
are...
contravenes, and sorry that I abruptly...
Yeah, but let me just
It
finish.
contravenes the foundation of their faith.
It's yes, but you ask me what could be
Right.
from our point
Wishful
of view.
thinking, right.
What
Fair
would be
enough.
the wishful thinking? Yes, in a way. So this is the first thing. The second thing, of course, is the weapon of mass destruction. And if they would say, okay, we are agreeing with the U.S. Offer, because there was a U.S. offer on the table, which makes sense to all of us. And we are not going to pursue for amount of missiles that would be able to devastate Israel. From the Israeli point of view, this is it. We are not expecting them to ask to be in peace with Israel. As we talked about it before, we are not in a position to change the regime, although we would like very much that this is what would happen. But as long as I would say we would have with them, and we're talking about Israel, but the story really, it is not Israel, because all those capabilities that we're talking that could be sent toward Israel, they could shift it. They already attacked Saudi, and they already attack in the Gulf state. So they are much more, in a way, a threat to the Gulf state than they are to Israel. So it is really them being contained, and once they would be contained, you could call it kind of a ceasefire. I think this would be enough to stabilize, in a way, the region, and hopefully with the time they would, President Trump said that join us to the Abraham Accord. So you never know.
Well, over the weekend...
He already did some things that no one believed that would happen.
He defies the rules of gravity so many times over. It's really amazing to see. I may not agree with everything, but who does agree with everything that a democratically elected leader does?
Yeah.
I don't think that ever exists. But let's put another angle on the table, since you pointed to a very important note, and that is that the Iranians could divert their attention elsewhere. And we did see during the war, and now I'm talking about the seven-front war that Israel had to face defensively, of course, in an offensive doctrine, but it faced, going from 7th of October 2023 by the launch of the attack by the Islamist Hamas, subsequently the next day, the Iranian proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon, launching also its own attacks, just for the sake of the mindset of strategic thinkers and the comprehension of what Hezbollah is. It's merely an extension of Iran in Lebanon. It's not a separate entity. The person advising the Ayatollah regime on all matters related to Israel and the Levant happened to be Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah, who was part of the Ayatollah establishment. So that's just to put things on the table. But Hassan Nasrallah, when there were considerations of or concerns in this terror organization of Israel launching a full-scale attack against it started threatening the European Union. It actually said, Cyprus, if you allow Israelis to use your airspace or to dock or to do whatever on European soil, we're going to divert our rockets and missiles into Cyprus. And the Cypriots were tentative to that. They were not concerned necessarily. Well, they were, but they understood that this was more of a threat level that needs to be taken into account. But Israel would have devastated Lebanon in the event that something like this happened. And I'm sure also that the Greeks and the French and others would have also entered into the fold in the event of such an attack taking place. But nonetheless, that is something that needs to be taken into account. It's not a theory. It is something that actually happened.
You're right.
Now, let's divert our attention to Hamas. According to the President Trump's so-called 20-point plan, albeit 21 points, came out, the Islamist Hamas came out and stated that it's not going to disarm. It's just not going to. And it's going to maintain its power grip over Gaza. Now, looking at what's happening on the ground, Hamas is actually taking or retaking control of Gaza. Now, this goes in contravention to the pledges made by Turkey and Qatar to Washington about the fact that they will rein in Hamas and ensure that it behaves. But nonetheless, reality on the ground dictates what truth actually is. And I'm asking myself, are we expected to see the war engines reignite as the pledge is? Unless they do so peacefully, it's going to happen violently.
Well, you're right, and this is the big question, because we are now getting into the second phase in a way. We still have 3 hostages, which are dead hostages, we should say, that are in the hands of the Hamas. But in general, we could say that the vast majority of hostages, for sure, all those live hostages are already back in Israel. So, with regard to the Hamas, and I fully agree with you, we should look on what they are doing, what is reality, and a bit less on what they are saying. If we are going a few months ago, the Hamas said that they would never bring back any of the hostages unless Israel would say that is ceasing the fire and going out of the Gaza Strip. It's not what happened. They gave back all the hostages, and Israel is in 50% of the Gaza Strip, and there is not real ceasefire unless they would move to the next stages. So I think that from one hand, we could say that they said all kind of things, but they behaved a bit differently. This is the first thing. And the second thing, and you also touched this very important point, is that contrary to all the negotiations that we had before, or whatever we tried to do with the Hamas, this time it is the Arab countries, Turkey, Qatar, Egypt, and others. Those are the ones that are pledged to the plan. Those are the ones that signed the same idea with the United States, and they are the ones who are dealing with the Hamas. So I think that if we would get back to this point, the Hamas is just ignoring everyone. First of all, we won't have any chance to go back and fight. And Israel is, once again, fully prepared for it. But this time I think that no one would be able to say that this is because Israel wants to do genocides or whatever. This is really after the Hamas is ignoring everyone, basically. So if you ask me, I really hope that in some point, maybe, after kind of a short crisis or something, things would go back to the path and to the 20 points plan. But it is for sure that we all have to prepare ourselves to the option that we would go back to fight. And this is very unfortunate, but this is the state of mind that we should have. And also for the reason that, in the past, one of the main reasons why they started this war is that they didn't believe that Israel would react so strongly. They didn't believe that Israel would behave the way it did. And so I think that now, when Israel is saying that if you are going to continuously breaking the plan, let's call it peace plan in a way, or the ceasefire plan, we are willing to step back.
In 1 minute, since we are out of time, Lebanon, are we on the cusp of yet another cycle of violence?
We have to say that Hezbollah's situation is much worse than I don't remember the Hezbollah being in such a worse position. The Lebanese government saying that he wants to disarming. He's blocked from the east because there is a completely different regime in Syria. 70% of its capabilities were damaged after the Israeli strikes. But still, it's a terrorist organization and have the rationality of terrorist organization. If we hear to their statements, it's look that they are taking the wrong path. And also there, I think that Israel is showing again and again that we are not going to allow the Hezbollah to even move slightly from the agreement. And we would immediately react to any behavior by the Hezbollah, which we see that they are breaking the agreement. And this is exactly what Israel is doing. So where it would take us, again, we are in a crossroad. It could be to the left, it could be to the right. But once again, Israel is prepared to I would say, to all options.
And before we're done, General Gavish, I'd like just to point out to our viewers that in southern Syria, there's still a siege raging by the Damascus regime of Ahmed al-Shara, who visited President Trump just recently into the White House. This siege is being enforced by a group of pro-government forces as well as regime forces. And there are clashes on a weekly basis, on a near-daily basis, on the fringes, various probing attacks. But a humanitarian situation there is unfolding where really the people are in lack of pretty much everything. If in Gaza, on a daily basis, there are between 400 to 600 trucks entering with whatever humanitarian aid you can think about, in the governorate of Sweda, where the Christians and Druze are currently besieged, only 36 trucks entered in the past week from roughly 1,000 trucks over the past several months. So just to put things in perspective, and the United Nations is complaining about not enough going into Gaza, while it is not saying a word about Sweda. So pray for the people there, speak with your representatives about this, and let's really let the voices of those people heard, since they are truly in life or death situation. So General Gavish, I'd like to really thank you for all of your insight. I'd like to thank all of you at home as well. Until our next edition, from here in Jerusalem, Shalom.